Hi friend, my name is Tara Brown and I'm a portrait photographer in Seattle, Washington. Today I am going to be giving you some tips on how to take your own headshot with your phone. Now, I'm always going to recommend working with a professional. I'm a little bit biased, but I know that there are circumstances where sometimes you just need something quick and you don't have time to book a full session, so you just have to do it on your own. So the following pointers I hope really help you out, so let's dive right in. So first things first, before we get into any technology, please make sure that your camera lens is clean on your camera. Whether it's the back-facing camera or the front-facing one, if you're taking a selfie mode, it's gonna be this little dot right here. Make sure you wipe that off with a microfiber or a t-shirt and make sure that it's clean. All right, second of all, we wanna make sure that we have our grid turned on our camera. That's going to help make sure that everything is aligned properly, and I'll talk a little bit about composition. So the way that we do that is, first of all, we're going to go into our settings and we're going to scroll down to our camera, and I just passed it, camera, and then under composition you'll see it says grid. Please make sure that you toggle that on. That will result in having a grid when we turn on our camera. So you can see there is two vertical lines here, two horizontal lines here. And this helps us with the rule of thirds. So there's something in photography about composition, about the rule of thirds. And that is that when you center your subject perfectly in the middle of a frame, like so my head is right in the middle of these lines, it's not as interesting as if there's something intersecting on part of those lines there. So for a headshot, it's okay to be in the middle of your frame here, but what I recommend is having your eyes on the top horizon line or horizontal line. And so we're just going to keep that in mind. Also, if your picture is crooked, you can tell if it's going crooked. And so we're just gonna keep it right there and keep our eyes on about that line. So next up is about finding the good light. And clearly right now I am not in very good light for a video. However, you can see there's a ton of light behind me, and so that's what I'm going to be looking for with my camera. So what I'm gonna do is, now you'll be able to see me on my phone as well. I am in front of the window light, and if I move closer to the window light, I'm gonna get some nasty shadows. Look at this, is called hard light when you have really bad shadows. Look at how that shadow off my nose is coming. Ugh, it's bad. Okay, so I'm gonna back up so the sun is not directly hitting my face. That is what's called open shade. So whether you're inside or outside, you want to find open shade so that you don't have harsh shadows on your face. Also, you'll notice that because I'm facing my light source, I'm getting nice reflection in my eyes here. That's called catch light, and that helps your eyes look more lively and more just vibrant. So definitely look for that. As you can see, if I spin around, the light is gonna change around me, and you can tell when it is not so pleasant. And we see a lot of pictures like this. There's maybe harsh light coming in from the side. I've got nasty shadows under here. As I keep turning, you're going to see how the light changes. So if you're unsure of how to find the good light, just take a spin with your phone and you will find it for sure. So this is how I find light. You're most likely going to be facing your light source. If it's too bright, I've got some shades here. Oh, those are blackout shades. Those aren't gonna work as well, but it could in your home if you had sheer shades or anything that will just reduce the light coming in a little bit. You can use that as well. Okay, so next up in the setup is putting your camera where you need it to be once you've found the good light. So I recommend having a tripod. You could use a selfie stick that might have a tripod extension on it. You can use a stack of books. You can rest your phone on a window ledge, but something to keep your phone stable. And also important is to make sure that the tripod or whatever you're using, you're able to get your phone at eye level or above and slightly tilted down. That's just going to be a flattering look for pretty much everybody. So that's what I recommend. And then you are going to put your phone on a timer so that you don't have to hold your phone and take a selfie, because that is the last thing that I would want you to do. So on your camera settings, you can tap into the little timer, and up top, you can have your timer off, or you can have it at 3 seconds or at 10 seconds. So we're just gonna put it at 3 seconds real quick and see what that looks like when we take a picture. So I press my button and I got a little countdown, and there it went. And so then I can go into that photo, and it takes a burst of images. So you can go in and select, and then you can go through and see they're all going to look really similar, but in case you moved or you had one that you liked better, you can choose that, and there you go. So that's it for setup. Just to recap, we want to make sure that you clean your lens, you have your grid turned on for the composition, you find the good light, you have a tripod, and you have your timer turned on. So next up is how to actually get the good shot that you want. Okay, so getting the actual shot and posing that you want for your headshot. I mentioned before that you want to make sure your camera is at eye level or slightly above and tilted towards you. This is just a more flattering angle. You don't want to be shooting up your nostrils or under your chin or things like that. So it's definitely a more flattering angle. The next pointer is to look at the black dot, is what I say to my friends. Your camera, which is the little dot on the selfie mode camera that we cleaned in the beginning, make sure you're looking there, because if you take a picture looking at the middle of your camera, your gaze is going to look off. So you'll see the difference here. We go picture here and picture here. You can see it looks like I'm not looking at the camera there, and I'm looking at the camera there. So you just want to make sure that your gaze is looking at the dot, so you don't look like you have no clue what's going on. Next also is focus and exposure. So you'll see this little, this yellow box that is popping up when I tap my screen. So if I tap on different parts of my screen, you'll see that my exposure changes. So I want that bright part I don't want as bright. So I tapped on my chin to expose my chin. And then I can also lock in focus by holding my finger down. So that's an auto exposure lock. And if I want to, I can drag my finger up or down, and that will change the exposure as well. So I'm happy with that. It's a little bright. Let's bring it down a little bit. Happy with that right there. So next is our posing. And so what I recommend is for headshots, especially if it's on LinkedIn, you're going to just need something close up for that little circle or square that you get to use for LinkedIn. So what I recommend is about shoulders up. And again, we want our, I'm going to angle my phone just a little bit because I want my eyes to be on that upper third, that upper horizontal line like I mentioned before. And then, so just a few pointers here. So I recommend being at slightly an angle. If you're straight on, you can, but your shoulders are gonna fill the whole frame. So if you're at slightly an angle, it's a flattering pose there for most people. If you have a part in your hair, I recommend that you face the camera based on where your part is. That opens up your face more to the picture. If I was to be on this side, it's not bad, right? It's not bad, but I'm just saying your face is more closed off. And so if your part is open, that's typically, you may not even think about it, but that might be what you subconsciously consider to be your better side for photos. And so, yeah, so start with your part facing the camera there. And so, and shoulders at an angle. And then the next thing that you're going to do, is going to feel real funny, is you're going to stick your head towards the camera. You're going to go chin forward and down like this. And you're going to help elongate the neck. So if I'm just standing here, and this is how I normally stand, and then I extend my neck and bring it down, just stretches things out. We could all use a little bit of that, right? So again, I'm at an angle, I'm turned towards the camera on my part side, chin forward and down. Okay, so basically what you can do, practice in the mirror, practice on your phone, try moving your shoulders different ways, try straight on if you want to, and you can even try different angles. If you want to move your arms, you can include crossed arms or whatever works that fits your industry. So give it a shot and play around with it. And what else? Also cropping. Again, for LinkedIn, you are going to have just a small area. So I recommend tight cropping as opposed to something way back here. You could do that, but post later on when you're cropping your images, you can crop like in this, wait, in this zone or something if you want to. So you can do that. But I will say, if you want to zoom in at all or zoom out, move yourself. Don't use your camera's zoom because that will result in a more grainy looking photo. And also, oh, the big one. If you're not like me, who has an iPhone 7 and you have something with portrait mode, use portrait mode because that will blur out your background, especially if you have selfie portrait mode. That's great because then you can see it. But you can blur out your background for a more artistic feel. So if you have an iPhone 8 and above, I'm sorry, I'm not sure what it is for Android, but you can have a more artistic look using portrait mode, and that will give you a much more artistic and professional look. So there we go. One final note before we wrap up today. I know that you're curious as to why I was doing this headshot in a bedroom, and is that an appropriate background for your headshot? Well, okay, short answer, no. But long answer, I want you to find good light in your photos. And so if that means going to a place that doesn't have as good of a background, you can either use portrait mode on your phone to blur out the background, or maybe you can set up a temporary background in that location. So you have a few options there. Play around with it and see what you think. Thank you so much for joining me today and watching my tips on how to take headshots with your phone. I hope you find them helpful. And if you have any questions at all, please drop them in the comments. I would love to help you out even more. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And if you have any ideas for future videos that you would like to see, please let me know. I'd love to hear from you and answer your questions. So until next time, have an awesome day and keep practicing your photo skills.